Hi everybody. I'm not sure how many of you are out there watching, but we're going to do our first cooking lesson for the Hungry Flight Attendant. Today, as I mentioned earlier this week, we're doing a burrito baked in the oven with cooked chicken, turkey, or whatever protein you have at home will do. The recipe I'm using today has cooked turkey in it. So we're going to start right away because the rice is going to take about 30 to 40 minutes to cook. So I'm going to get the rice on and then we'll start with the rest of the filling afterwards. So what we got to do first, wash the rice. So just a quick rinse. Hopefully you guys are actually following along and cooking at the same time. And what we're going to do now is prepare the beans. What I want to do with the black beans is reserve the liquid so that we can use the liquid in the beans. It's a little bit salty, it'll add nice flavor, and it'll add color to the rice as well. So what I'm going to do is put this in the sink. We're making about 1.5 cups of dry rice, which will require slightly over 3 cups of liquid. Okay, so brown rice, if you're using brown rice, which I am using today, that requires more liquid than regular white rice. If you're using white rice, if you're using a cup of white rice, you want to use about 1.75 cups of stock, water, whatever liquid you're using. We're using chicken stock today for our recipe. Okay? So that'll stay there for now. In this rice, we're going to put a little bit of onion. Now, if you want a fine dice of onion, that's what we want for the rice. Now, cut the top off the onion, cut it down the middle. We're only going to use half an onion for the rice, okay? And then peel it, keeping the root end attached, okay? And I'll show you why for those of you who have not diced onion before. Works really easily. So the onion's attached at the root, and you can see if you're looking at the onion, there's lines going down from the root to the open end. Cut it without cutting to the root. Keeping your fingers safe. And then cut across the middle. And when you cut down on the onion, you have a nice dice, so you don't have to start crying. It's quick, nice and easy. Okay, so now we're going to come over to the stove. And we're going to start the rice. And heat the pan up. Now for this, 1.5 cups of dry rice with 3.25 cups of the bean canned liquid and the chicken stock. Okay, a little bit of olive oil in the pan. Onions. Turn this down to about medium heat for now. And with the onions, we're going to put in, if you have cumin seed whole, A little bit of cumin seeds in there. If you have cumin powder, you can use cumin powder. And cook the cumin seeds with the onion. Three cups of liquid. The cumin and the onion and the olive oil smells really nice. I'm going to turn the fan on just on low so it doesn't affect our sound too much. Okay, that's good. The rice goes in dry and just give it a nice coat. Now we will put the beans in the rice just before it's completely finished, okay, to warm them up and to make basically a black bean brown rice to put into our burritos, okay? Now if you're using prepared stock from the grocery store, it is typically quite salty. You don't need to add salt to this. Because I'm using homemade stock and I don't put salt in my homemade stock, I will salt the liquid a little bit and then add more salt if needed at the end of the cooking. The bean liquid also has a bit of salt, so you don't want to add too much at this point, okay? Just a little pinch. Again, if you're using prepared store-bought stock, do not salt it now. Salt your rice at the end. Okay, we're going to bring this to a boil and then drop it down to a simmer with the lid on and let that cook. It should take, I'd say, about 35 to 40 minutes, which will give us time to prepare the rest of the filling for the burrito. So this is an induction stove. It starts to boil pretty quickly. If you're using a regular standard electric stove, ceramic top, it'll probably take a little bit longer to start boiling. You can keep it on high just to get it up to a boil and then drop it down. Okay, we're almost there. Once it's boiling, lid goes on, drop it down to just a very, very light simmer. Keep an eye on it because in case it overboils. But if you can lower the temperature quickly, it should be fine. All right, coming back over here. This is the compost. We're going to start making the mixture for the turkey. Well, last night I prepared roast turkey breast. Okay, that's already all cut up. In the recipe that I put in this week, I said about 2 cups, I believe. 4 cups actually of turkey. It's here. It'll go in the pan a little bit later. Now for the vegetables. Okay, we're going to save the yellow pepper for the salsa, the pico de gallo, for later. So we now have another onion. This time we're going to cut the root end and the top. Sharpen my knife again. And cut it down the middle. Okay. This onion is not very nice. I'm going to get another one and use that for stock. This one should be better. Change knives. So once again, cut the top and bottom. lengthwise, and it peels nice and easily. Okay, so the filling of, I'm going to check on that rice. Make sure you check on your rice if you're cooking along. Lid on, down to low. Okay, instead of making small dice for this, for the meat part of the stuffing, we're going to take the onion in half. Just cut it into, say, 5 pieces. Or 6 pieces. And then larger dice. Okay? That's going to go into there. Peppers, same thing. Cut your pepper lengthwise from the top down to get nice pieces which we're going to cut up. You can also use the bottom and the top if you want to use it, go ahead. I give this to my dog. She loves vegetables. So I'm going to leave this for her in a little bowl I have here for little vegetable scraps for her. Lily's a big fan of little vegetable bits. And the same goes with the green pepper. Cutting down from the top. Save the bottom. Save the top for the dog. And all this into the compost. So if you have an onion like mine...
It flipped. How do I flip it back?
What do you mean it flipped? Well, technical difficulties. What did you do? Sorry, everybody. How about we go that way? Does that work?
Nope.
Okay, I'm going to keep going even though I'm sideways. My camera lady's going to figure it out. Maybe we'll stop video and start up again if she can't get it back. Okay? These are the joys of, I guess, live videos. How are we doing? We're back? All right, good. Okay, so we're going to cut the pepper into, I'd say, you know, that kind of thickness. So whatever, 3/4 of an inch. Okay. Do them all. Find if we cut them into big strips, it's hard to fold the burrito later. So if we cut them into pieces about that big, okay, it'll go nicer when we start folding it up. Just going to check on the rice. Good. Just check on the rice, make sure it's still simmering. If it's not, turn up the heat a little bit. We don't want it to stick or burn at the bottom. Okay, we're almost done with the peppers, so I use 2 peppers. Okay, if your family doesn't like peppers or the kids in the family don't like peppers, you can certainly take them out. You can add mushrooms if you want. Mushrooms aren't very popular in my house when they're cooked, so I don't put mushrooms in this burrito. But you can use tofu if you're vegetarian. You don't want to use meat protein. You can make it just simply vegetarian with mushrooms. Broccoli, any vegetable. Okay, so, but this one's nice and simple: onion, peppers, and turkey. we're going to add some cilantro to the cooked product. So I'm just going to chop up some cilantro now, so we can add that later, and we're going to have, actually, you know what, I'm going to chop up all the cilantro now. Okay, so a bunch of cilantro. I don't think I'll need all this, so I'm just going to chop it up, keeping your fingers tucked in, your thumb in behind your fingers to protect them, protect your thumb. I've left bits of my thumb in, and then just give it a quick chop. The cilantro's already been washed. Okay, I washed it earlier. If you haven't washed it, do so, because there tends to be a lot of sand in here. And the cilantro will go into the salsa we're going to make. It'll go into the avocado cream that will accompany the burrito, and we'll finish off a little bit of the vegetable and turkey mixture as well with it. This is one of my favorite herbs to use. Good, so let's go. We're going to go back to the stove. And everything okay there, cameraman? Yeah? Okay, good. Come over here to look at the rice. It's going a little more than I want, so I'm going to turn it down one more notch and just make sure it's not sticking. Okay, I don't want to play with it too much. Lid back on. So what we have now is the onion, peppers. Here, cilantro, which will go on at the end, the turkey, chili powder. I made this chili powder today because I realized at around 1 o'clock that I didn't have the chili powder that I would buy at the store. So I will post afterwards how to make your own chili powder. You can also look it up, but it's pretty simple. It smells fantastic. And I love cumin, so even though the chili powder has some cumin in it, I have some extra here that I ground up earlier, so I will add that as well to the spice mixture. So I'm going to get the pan going. Just going to preheat that. Shouldn't take very long. There. Just going to wash my hands here. And add a little bit of oil to the pan. See, when a hot pan gets the oil, it kind of creates a little layer, so things should not stick. Alright, what we're going to do here is we're going to add the onions and the peppers. And turn it down. I don't want to burn the vegetables. As they're frying, we will add the spices. And I will add some garlic, which I haven't chopped yet. But I don't want to add the garlic too early, because it tends to burn quick. So just a quick 1 clove is all you need. Quick chop, keeping your fingers. We'll leave that there for a second. Good. So about medium high heat, just to do it at the beginning. Going to add about a teaspoon of the chili powder, teaspoon and a half of the cumin. Again, I like the smell and the taste of cumin, so I will add a little more if you don't like it so much. Okay, good. Salt. Pepper. I'm going to let that go for a bit. While that's cooking, I'm going to get a tomato ready to just add a little bit of liquid to keep the turkey from getting too dry in that mixture. So I have a tomato here. Just going to cut it into dice, right? Keeping the roots or the top end out. I'm going to keep the seeds and I'm not going to waste it. Okay, we're making dinner for our family here. We're not making dinner in a restaurant where we want to keep maybe the seeds out. So this will break down in the pan with the heat. So just a quick dice. You can also use canned tomatoes if you would like, but I think in the canned tomatoes is a little bit too much liquid. So at least this way you get some tomato in there. It isn't the prettiest of tomatoes, but again, it's April, so I'm not going to get nice tomatoes now. Okay, tomatoes are ready. Quick check of the vegetables. They're just about ready. You can add the garlic now. The garlic cook a little bit. Smells great. Okay, now you can start to smell the garlic in there with the spices. I missed a couple pieces. I'm going to break down those tomatoes. It's snowing outside in Montreal. Wonderful. Well, that rice has been on for, looks like about 15 minutes or so, maybe a little bit longer. We're going to let that go, keep the lid on. And the turkey. I'm going to bring this, just put the turkey in. Again, I sliced it, right? I'm going to keep it sliced. It's going to break up a little bit in there anyway. Okay, and again, you know, this recipe we're making about 6 burritos, so I won't use all this turkey that I have in here because with the rice and the beans and everything, it'll fill up pretty quick. So hopefully Lucas will get that. Alright, so we got nice amount of turkey and vegetables. It smells fantastic. And we're going to let this just warm up and cook. I'm actually add a little bit more turkey in there. And I'm going to cover it up. Okay, it's on. You can cover your pan. If you're using a pot instead, that's fine too. just enough to kind of cook down those vegetables a little bit, warm the turkey through, and that about a few minutes before it's ready to go. So we're going to prepare the avocado cream now. Okay, this is going, it's fine on low, the rice is going. Before we do anything else, let's turn the oven on. Let's get the oven warmed up to, preheated to 425. So really what we want to do is just get the cheese melted, and everything's already going to be hot. So we're just going to kind of maybe crisp up the tortilla shell a little bit, the tortilla wrap a little bit, and melt the cheese. Okay, so there's no worry about being in there for 20 minutes. 425, quick zap, 10 minutes, they'll be ready to go. So we're going to come back over to the cutting board. I'm going to wipe this down. This cloth is clean. If you're doing this at home and you have a cutting board that slips on a countertop, a trick we learned in school, and it works really, really well, you take a wet rag or towel, put it underneath your cutting board, and the cutting board will not move as much. Okay, so just a little tip there. Avocado cream. Need a bigger bowl. Bowl that we have the vegetables in. We're going to take one avocado. If you like avocado cream or you like guacamole, you can use, take a second avocado, make a little more, and use it with tortilla chips or vegetables. Okay, avocado. Run your knife down the avocado, cut it in half, and remove the pit. With the spoon, you can remove the avocado from the shell, and here's your avocado. I'm going to make an extra avocado. Stick to one, and I'll make sure the ingredients are what you want. So I'm going to cut open a second one for us at home, since these avocados are very ripe, and I don't want them to go in the garbage. So again, scoop it out, and we will mash the avocado first, okay, before we do anything else. So with a fork. You can do this in a food processor, or not a food processor, but a blender. I have a magic bullet, which I use actually for this type of thing, but I'm going to do it by hand in case the people at home don't have a little magic bullet. We'll mash the avocado. I don't want this chunky. Again, we're making like a cream, okay, or like an avocado sauce. So we don't want it chunky, we want it broken down. Okay. Let's check on the vegetables. Okay, we got a little bit of liquid, not much. It's hot. So I'm going to turn off the stove with this, and we will make sure the seasoning is good before we assemble the burritos. Okay? Same with the rice, quick peek. It's going. Actually, I'm going to turn it down a little more. It's a little too close. Okay, in the avocado cream. Avocado's there. The juice of half to 1 lime. I'm going to wait and see. I don't know how juicy these limes are. Okay, they don't look very juicy. if you want to add a little extra lime juice, taste it first, taste it at the end, and see if it's how you like it. Okay, I like it nice and tart, so I may add the second half. Okay, in here as well, in the recipe I had asked you guys to buy a salsa verde for this purpose. Okay, I buy the Herdez brand because it's got very few extra ingredients. It has tomatillos, and that's about it. Okay, some onion. It's a little spicy, and that's what I'm gonna put. If I can get this jar open, I'll put a little bit in here. Hope you guys are following along okay at home. I don't measure, but for your sake I will. So we're gonna go with about 1/3 of a cup. See how it is. Again, we want it relatively runny. Okay? So that looks about right. Okay? Now for you guys with 1 avocado, 1/3 of a cup might be a little bit too much. Add a little bit less, maybe 1/4 cup. Okay, and we've got a nice consistency here. Okay. Always have clean spoons on hand for tasting to see. Needs more lime. Okay, so I will add more lime to this. If it's not runny enough, you can add a little more salsa verde, or you can add a little bit of water to water it down. That should be good. I'm not going to use that spoon again. Good. A little cilantro, and maybe a tablespoon or so. I like cilantro. I would probably put a little more than that in mine. Good. A little garlic. I'm not going to put too much. Okay, maybe 1/2 clove of garlic. All right. Just making sure I haven't forgotten anything in my recipe here. Okay, so again, cilantro on my hands. It's fine. It's going in there anyway. I want to chop this up just about 1/2. Okay, not too much. You can also crush it with the blade if you want crushed garlic. In this case, I don't want chunks of garlic, so I want it to be really crushed. So I'll just crush it into the board, chop it up. Now, the salsa verde has salt in it, but when I tasted it earlier, this avocado cream needed a little bit of salt and definitely needs some pepper. If you want to make it spicy, you can add, some cayenne pepper to it. But that's a nice consistency, okay, for the burrito. Some salt. Avocados I find need quite a bit of salt. Pepper. This is the same spoon I used earlier, so what I'll do is I'll just drop some into my spoon so I don't cross-contaminate. That's good. So it was like maybe 1/2 teaspoon of salt in here. That second 1/2 of lime actually is perfect. There's only a little bit of garlic, and you just get a little bit hint of the garlic. And the cilantro. The avocado cream is ready for assembly. I'll leave that here. We don't need this anymore. We have our grated cheese, which is going to go on top of the burrito. to check on the rice and see. We have the tortillas, okay, large tortillas. Let's see how we're doing here with the turkey. It's good, it's hot. Okay, so that's ready to go and ready to go into our burrito. The rice, I'm not sure. Let's take a look and see. So the water has almost evaporated, but the rice does not look quite ready. I think we're probably looking at another 5 minutes or so. I'm going to give that a little test. Clean spoon here. Just going to check the rice. If you're using brown rice, it shouldn't be ready. If you're using white rice, it should be pretty much done. Not even close. So we're going to let that go. Hopefully the rice will be ready in the next 5 to 10 minutes. Because we're getting almost on 40 minutes here. So while we're waiting for the rice, I was going to do the salsa or the pico de gallo after, but since we're doing that now, let's do it now. Lily, we'll play. So for our salsa, again, a little added vegetable. I have Roma tomatoes. You can use the regular tomato as well. It's fine. If you're doing that in your salsa, I would remove the seeds. Okay, like I will do with the Roma tomato. So the Roma tomato, slice in half, slice into quarters. Okay, and here from the bottom end, from the pointy end, you can remove the seeds. Okay, again from the bottom, cut along towards the root or the tip end of the tomato, and your seeds. You can use these if you want to make a tomato sauce. You can put that in your tomato sauce for another time. Keep it in a container. If you want to make a tomato sauce and add a little bit more liquid to it, you can do that. Just strain out the seeds at the end. Okay, so do that. I'm going to put 2 Roma tomatoes in. If you only have 1 tomato, which is what I suggested in the recipe, it's plenty anyway. Okay, so but again, I like to have leftovers, and leftover of this salsa is amazing. From the bottom, okay. I'm not making tomato sauce anytime soon, so these are going in the compost. Okay. So we want small dice of the tomato. Okay. So in little strips, you can see. Okay. I'm going to cut them. Your fingers in, your thumb behind, holding the vegetable. If you don't like doing it that way, you can certainly do it this way and just run from the front to back. Okay, that works well too, but you stand a greater chance of stabbing yourself in the finger, which I've done before. And then don't take too much because it tends to crush it, especially with this knife, which I just sharpened, and for some reason it's still pretty dull. You can now make your dice for the salsa. Okay. Highly crispy. I'm going to use the sharper knife and just go from front to back. This isn't really proper cutting technique. If you're a chef watching this at home, you're thinking, who is this guy cutting his tomatoes this way? But I'm improvising considering my proper knife isn't working. Okay, tomato. Now we had a half an onion that we used for the rice. Let's go check on the rice. almost. That half onion, where did it go? Which we put in the for the rice earlier. We're going to use that now. The root end is attached. Hopefully you kept that one. I think I did say we're going to use it later. If I didn't, sorry. Okay, remove the peel if you haven't done so already. And we're going to do the same thing we did before. Okay, from the lines, not cutting the root. Turning your knife to follow the line in the onion. And then down the middle, right to the end without cutting through the root. And we have a nice, finely diced onion. Okay. Oven's ready. Okay, it's in there. Now we're going to do the same thing with a pepper. Like I said earlier, we kept the yellow pepper. You can use any color pepper you want. I just like the color, it'll go nicely in here. In this, if you want to make it more tropical, you can add some diced mango. I was actually thinking of doing that and I decided to just go with a simple combination. If you see this white part here, cut that out. You don't want that in your salsa. Okay, just run your knife along the inside. And same thing, okay? Finely sliced. I like this technique better. Right. Turn it the other way and a little bit of onion there. It's coming together nicely, okay? Nice colors. So in the salsa we have one pepper, small pepper. You can use half of a large pepper, okay? Couple Roma tomatoes, half an onion in here. We're going to add some lime juice. Again, start with half a lime. This one's a lot juicier than the other one. So again, start with half a lime. A little handful of the chopped cilantro. Okay, a couple tablespoons worth. Here you could add a jalapeno if you like spicy. I don't do it spicy for my family because I'm the only one, so I'll make my burrito spicy. Okay? We need to add some olive oil in here, salt and pepper, and taste. I won't add garlic. You can certainly add garlic if you like garlic, but I think with the avocado cream it's garlic enough, so we'll just leave it like this. Olive oil. Right, the rice should be just about ready. So I'm going to take the beans that we had done earlier. They're sitting here in the sink. Oh, awesome. Okay. Dump the beans in there. Stir them in. The water is actually almost completely evaporated. If you still have quite a bit of water with your rice for whatever reason, let that continue to steam. You could strain the rice and then finish the process. But with 3 1/4 cups of rice to of liquid to about 1.5 cups of rice, like I had in the recipe, you shouldn't have any liquid left over. The rice is probably not quite ready. It's a little hard, so we're just going to leave it like that. Let it go while I finish the salsa. Okay, some olive oil. Say maybe a quarter cup of olive oil. Nice. Salt. And again, teaspoon of salt. You can always add a little more if you want, if it doesn't taste well enough for you. It's actually something I wanted to mention earlier. When you're putting together a dish like this, has many different components, you want to season each component separately as if you were eating it by itself. So if I want to taste this salsa and it tastes bland, well then it'll take away from the rest of the dish. So I want to season it so that if I was going to sit here and eat a bowl of this, which you probably could, then you want it to actually taste really nice on its own. That's good. Right? Half a lime is enough. I think a little more lime and it would take away from the flavor of the vegetables. Right? So there's a finished product. Onion, tomato, pepper, cilantro, salt, pepper, olive oil, lime juice. Nice, that'll go on the plate. Avocado cream. And we're almost ready to assemble now. Our rice should be just about ready. Food for the dog. Again, those little bits of onion that I just put in the compost, you can certainly keep if you're going to make a stock. It would go really nice in the stock. We are 12 minutes away from our hour, so hopefully we should be finishing up in the next little bit. Right? I'm going to get rid of this, get the cutting board cleaned up so that you can assemble. Again, it's just vegetables that you've been doing on here, so just a rinse is good. Towel, dry it up. This will be our board to assemble. Clean this up here. This back down. We're almost there, guys. Dinner in an hour-ish. Okay. A baking dish, we're going to put it in. Actually, this stuff we don't need now because it's going to go on our plate, so we don't have to put that in there. All we need is the cheese, the tortillas, the pan, and the hopefully cooked rice. Now the rice, as you recall at the beginning, we did not add much salt. So this is where, like I was saying earlier, you want to season each component as it would if you were just going to eat it by itself. Okay? So just want to taste the rice, make sure it's cooked. Cooked. Brown rice will be a little bit toothy. It'll have a little bite to it. This is just about ready, but it does need salt. It does need pepper. I'd rather put a little bit of salt at the end than over salting the water and having it inedible because there's too much salt, so I've done that before. Stir in, give it a taste. If it tastes like you have enough salt in it, that's better. Much better. Okay, so a little bit of salt, that's all it takes. Really brings up the flavors in the rice. Nice nutty brown rice. We're going to bring it over to our assembly station. My cameraman's making a mess here. Camera lady in the kitchen. That's why I cook. Serving spoon. What are you pointing at?
The cloth.
Oh, the cloth. Here, you want to wipe it? Okay. So, tortillas. These are flour tortillas. If I was making tacos, I would use, I love corn tortillas. They're my favorite. Okay, so we have a little bit of rice. Okay, hope you guys are following along okay. A little bit of the brown rice and the beans. Some of the vegetable mixture and the turkey. Okay. Now here, my family, we would have one of these each with all the vegetables and stuff, and that would be plenty, right? I know if you have teenagers at home, they'll probably eat a lot more. Okay, and we're gonna fold in the ends. Fold it over, and with your fingers, just to keep everything in, because if not, it would come all leaking out. Okay, and we put it together. All right. Again, we don't need sauce or anything for this because we have the sour cream, we have the salsa and the avocado cream. So really here we're just putting it in the oven to melt the cheese. And this is a small one. So again, just repeat the process. A little bit of rice. Now when I get to mine, I'm going to put some crispy jalapenos. Bought these at Costco a while ago. They're the best. They're the best on burgers. I love this product. So I'm going to put some of that inside my burrito. Okay, so this is a small one, so I'm not going to over stuff it. Again, fold it over. My mom used to make something like this when I was a kid, and not quite the same way, but it was a great leftover meal when it came to the week after Thanksgiving, when you had tons of turkey meat at home. This is great. So I'm going to do this one. This is going to be mine. These are the crispy jalapenos. They're the best. Rice. Just repeat until you have however many you want. Like I said, this recipe makes about 6. There's going to be a little bit of rice left over. I apologize if you made a cup and a half of rice.
You always make too much food.
Cheryl's mouthing to me here that I always make too much food. But you know, when things are normal and people are at work and they come home and they have to quickly put a meal together, you know, this is about an hour, as I had said. But you know, if you make extra or you have extra rice, then you can turn that rice into some kind of Mexican stir fry if you want. Put it in a soup. You know, there's lots of things you can do. This isn't going to be mine because I forgot to put the jalapenos in. So we'll do that with the next one.
Jay Frey says leftovers are important.
There are people writing comments.
Mm-hmm. That's how the camera flipped. I tried to answer one.
Oh yeah, don't answer yet. We'll try to address comments later. Okay, so here's another one. I'm going to throw in some of these crispy jalapenos. See what they look like. Okay, they're so good. I put some in my broccoli soup last night. It was awesome. They're quite spicy. So if you don't like heat, don't use them. My dog's thirsty. She's scraping at her bowl there. Okay, you can put the cheese on the inside if you want, but that just takes away from the how much more filling you can put in. Put the cheese on top. That's what we're going to do with this. We're at 4, and I'm going to make 6, and then we'll leave it at that. And you guys can make more if you like. I'm going to make another one with the crispy jalapeno here for tomorrow's lunch. Okay, rice. Turkey, how are we doing for time? Okay, we're probably going to go a little bit over our hour. Hope you guys don't mind. It's not like any of us have too much to do these days. Extra turkey. Jalapenos.
Angie, my guac matches my lime in my margarita.
Oh yeah, I was gonna pour myself a glass of wine, and I didn't. Maybe while we put these in the oven, I'll pour myself a glass, and whoever you guys are done with me, that's fine. If anybody here and you're watching and you're doing this at the same time and you've only made 4, or you want to just finish off on your own without having to watch me do this, pop it in the oven till the cheese is melted. That's really all you have to do. And it should take 5 minutes, and you're good to go. And then you guys can sit down with your family, by yourself, whoever you're with, and this is a big
Lucas?
He's working out. Leave him. We're done here. Okay, that last burrito was a bit overstuffed. Okay, so there we have 6 burritos in this pan. I could probably fit another one. We're going to leave it at that. Get it in the oven. Sprinkle some cheese over top. This cheese here is a mix of mozzarella that was already pre-grated. There was some Asiago cheese, which I love, and some medium aged cheddar. Okay, so you can use whatever cheese you like. I like stronger cheese, so that's what's going on here, except for the mozzarella. I think there's enough cheese on here. What do you think, guys? Okay, pop this in the oven. My kitchen's a bit of a mess, but that's par for the course. A little glass of wine. And for those of you who watched my or saw the pictures on the Hungry Flight Attendant on Instagram, sourdough starter. We're at day 3, I think, day 2, and it's been fed twice. I'm starting to get a nice sour smell into it, so if anybody who lives near me wants some, I know Angie and Paul, you guys are going to get some tomorrow. It's here. Don't tighten the lid like that. And we wait for the burritos. I'm going to plate one for you guys with the sauce. I mean, you can do however you like, of course, but nice. The avocado cream can go wherever you guys want it. I like to put it on the side, a little bit of a nice dollop of sour cream on the plate, and the salsa over top, or all on the side of the plate like I had in the picture there that you guys saw when I posted this recipe. You can assemble it however you like. The important thing is it's in the oven, and a nice glass of wine with dinner. And I'm going to, I think I'll sign off now. It's been an hour. I think that's enough of me. And enjoy your dinner, everybody. And we'll see you next week. I'm going to do something else. I'll send an ingredient list and a menu for next Thursday, hopefully the dinner next week. All right, thanks for joining me, and we'll see you next week. Cheers.